but I still think Arsenal can go on and win it because I think both teams will drop points from now to the end of the season.
But who has the edge at the moment? Do they, the fact that they've taken it off them after you said 200 days at the top, does that give them kind of the psychological edge? And that give them, they've got muscle memory at this as well.
Yeah.
You know, Pep Guardiola's got the muscle memory. They haven't. They've got none of that.
Yeah.
So have they got that edge in terms of the mind games?
They've got that edge because they've got the winners and they've got the best manager around who's been there, seen it, done it. A lot of Arsenal players haven't been across that line, even Mikel Arteta hasn't. But he was frustrated last night. As I said, I was at the game. I watched a lot of Pep on the touchline. He was kicking every ball, and it's big now for Mikel Arteta to see how he
quite
reacts.
Dramatic from
Yeah, that is dramatic. But he's like that on the touchline, isn't he? Like, he's very dramatic. He kicks every ball. He's passionate. He wants his team to do well, and he's had an outstanding season. He's going toe-to-toe with one of the best. The only thing is they'll be really disappointed for the lead that they could have had and they get thrown away and Man City do it. But that's testament to City where they are and with the manager they've got, Pep Guardiola, and the group of players they've got. But what could stand Arsenal in good stead is the 2 games they got coming up. If they beat Newcastle and Fulham, that is 6 points. City then go to Everton, who are trying to get into Europe, which is a hard place to go. So there you go. You'd rather have the points on board, Vicky, than chasing.
I'll talk to you just about the run-in predictions. We'll look through the games in a minute. But just in terms of that man there, Arteta, he's always been known as the apprentice and the master in this kind of relationship between...
But he'll always be that.
Will he? That was the question.
He'll always be that until he wins what this man's won. And will he ever win what this man's won, Pep Guardiola? I'm not sure. That is why Pep is the best around, the best in the business. But he's learnt from the best because he is the best, and Mikel Arteta has took Arsenal to a different level. Now he needs to take them across the line. And they've got a great opportunity. It's a brilliant opportunity. Arsenal fans will be frustrated and say, yes, the way we've been playing has not been good enough because of the points. I remember, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago, they could have gone 12 points clear and put huge pressure on Man City. And I then think the title race would have been over. But you got to credit Man City. We want it to be like this. No, if you're Arsenal fans, you don't want it to be like this. But if you're a neutral watching from outside, you want it to be like this. You don't want the title race over with a month to go.
No.
So we're all here for it and we're going to enjoy it. And as I say, I'm thoroughly enjoying it at the moment.
Yeah, me too. Let's take a look then at your run-in predictions then. Where do you think the wins are coming, the defeats are coming, if any?
Well, you know, Newcastle or Fulham, I feel Arsenal, they will draw one of them games. I do actually think, I do. And I think the Everton and Bournemouth game are the 2 games where I look at for Man City and think, they are hard games. As you said earlier, Vicky, Iriola, his last game at home, and it is a tough game. And it's a hard place to go, Bournemouth. They make it a proper football match. You saw what they done to Arsenal at the Emirates. Everton, David Moyes, the job he's done there, it's a hard place to go. So they're going to be tough. Even Brentford at home is tough because they're going to be fighting for Europe. But I just feel Man City, where they are at the moment, I don't think they fear anyone. And I think they have that mentality. And the manager, Pep Guardiola, makes that group of players have that mentality. And what they've got is players who don't think about situations. Yeah, they have Rodri, Bernardo Silva that have won it, and Haaland. But what they've got in Turkey is a maverick. He doesn't care. I watched him last night. He plays it. When you're trying to take someone on, Vicky, you're meant to look at the ball. He's looking at the defender's eyes and laughing at them because he knows what he's going to do to them. He's a joy to watch. And when you've got players like that, that could just give them the X factor and the extra edge. And you know, one thing I will say with Arsenal where they got very lucky is Gabriel. He didn't get sent off on the weekend against Haaland, where I think he did put the head into Haaland, and that helps them massively because he's probably been the best centre-half in the Premier League this season. So for them to, if he had been banned, it would have been a huge blow to Arsenal.
And then we want to talk about last night, obviously, because they moved top of the Premier League, but despite the win, will they rue not being more clinical? I mean, it was 28 shots, I think 9 on target in the end.
I was at the game, Vicky. I was there. I was at the game. Let me tell you something. It was frustrating because they created numerous chances. Yeah. And if you watch Pep Guardiola on the touchline, he was getting animated. He was frustrated because he knows it could come down to goal difference. And they were. But I do think after a hard game on the weekend, I do think maybe there's a bit of fatigue and tiredness for sure. So, and I think That's physically and mentally. Because the game on the weekend against Arsenal was a hell of a game. It was two top teams going at it. They created chances. The Bradford made a few good saves. It was wasteful finishing. And at the end, you were thinking, I think the last corner of the game, you're thinking, could Burnley get something? And could this ruin Man City's title chance? But they've got it now, and they just got to kick on. They just got to kick on. I understand, and people are saying, because Arsenal got to play Burnley, but you've got to credit Burnley. Even though City were wasteful, Burnley defended.
Well, they were fighting for their lives.
They were, but too little, too late for Burnley. The performance I saw from Burnley, why don't I see this for the rest of the season? It's always you see it from teams when they know they're going to get relegated, because I thought they were good, but yeah, City were wasteful, but I think in the end it's all about getting the 3 points, Vicky.
Have we seen that too often from City, though? A slightly wasteful City this season, you know, as opposed to an Arsenal that haven't, and they've gone on to win games 3-4-0, whatever. City, we haven't seen that from this season.
No, we haven't, but and you're right, we haven't seen that from Man City, but Arsenal have had a blip now, a big blip, and City didn't have as big a blip as what Arsenal did. I can guarantee you if Arsenal were that far ahead, Man City were that far ahead, Arsenal wouldn't have been catching them. No chance, because they've been there, seen it and done it, Man City, where you're looking at Arsenal. And also, it's just nervous. Anyone would be nervous. They're going for the biggest thing in the world to go and win the Premier League, so it is going to be. And they don't have a lot of players in their team that have done that, where Man City have serial winners and the manager who's the best in the world. So that's the difference at the moment. They won't panic. Man City won't panic at all. And Arsenal, if Arsenal play like they did on the weekend, this is going to go right down to the wire. Without a shadow of a doubt, because look at it, goals like it's a 37. But the thing is, if it stays like that, Vicky, and it stays like that, Man City win, because they're head-to-head. Man City have the best playing each other. Man City go on and win it.
Yeah, they've also got goals scored as well, haven't they? Interesting that Pep and Erling Haaland were a little bit spiky, weren't they, when they were talked about the goal difference and goals scored and the fact they should have perhaps taken advantage last night. He says that they can't let that kind of be a distraction for them, the goal difference. But should they? Should they actually be focusing on games like against Burnley and saying, actually, we needed to get more goals in that game?
But everyone would be, listen, everyone's thinking it's easy, it's only Burnley. It still is the Premier League. I know Burnley are getting relegated. There's no easy games in the Premier League. You have to earn the right sometimes. And they did create chances. On another day, they score 4 or 5 and the game's over early, after about half an hour of the chances they had. But there's a long way to go. There'll be loads of twists and turns up and down. There'll be loads of stories. Both teams could drop points. Do I think both teams will? Probably not. I think both, even though you look at Man City, they have Everton. No, Man City have Everton away and Bournemouth away. They're the two games. And everyone can say the Villa at home. The reason I don't think Villa at home, I think Villa will already be in the Champions League place and they'll be in the Europa League final, I think.
But that's Andoni Iraola's final game at home.
No, it's going to be difficult, but that's what I'm saying. Man City could drop points to get a point there, but then you think Arsenal are going to win every game from now to the end of the season. They got Newcastle at home. I know Newcastle ain't been on good form.
Fulham, West Ham,
Fulham
Burnley,
as well.
Palace.
West Ham, who are fighting for their life. And you know what Palace are like, Vicky? Even though they could be in the Europa Conference League, you know what Palace are like. They make it difficult for anyone, and both teams have got to play Palace. So, but the advantage I think Man City have is that they have Palace at home, where Arsenal have got Palace at Selhurst Park. It's a difficult place to go. So there's going to be a lot of twists and turns at the moment, and it'll go right down to the wire. But yeah, if I had to put my neck on the line now, though, I'd say Man City are the favourites. But what I will say is, the signs I saw on the weekend from Arsenal, the way they went toe-to-toe with Man City, I thought they were outstanding. And if they show that, they've got a great chance.
And obviously, Arsenal players, no matter what, will be watching that game probably last night. Gary Neville said that performance will probably encourage the Arsenal players. Do you agree with that?
Oh, it can encourage them, but it doesn't matter. All Man City done their job and got the 3 points, so it can encourage them. Without a shadow of doubt, it can encourage them. But I think some of Arsenal's 5 or 6 performance before they played Man City would encourage Man City. So there's going to be lots of twists and turns. They got the job done. It wasn't one of their best performances, but they got the job done. It was a brilliant finish from Haaland. The goal was fantastic. And yeah, they'll be disappointed. They've not got enough goals. And yeah, it should give Arsenal a bit of encouragement, but too much twists and turns. I've watched a lot of football in my time, and this is going to go right down to the wire. But we want it. It's the best league in the world, and we want the excitement.
Declan Rice says Liverpool it's not over yet. It is a shame that Liverpool aren't in it, but let's not get on that subject right now.
What did you? Right, we've not heard from you since Sunday. Where are you at with what happened on Sunday?
Obviously, very emotional last time. You know, Ryan made me know. I was very emotional about it. But the fact is,
guy, I like that.
Emotional guy, but you know what? Leading into that was obviously Southampton and Bournemouth. So I was, I was reeling off of that. And worked great against Sporting Lisbon, but I said in the show that I just want to see something from us in respect, so show us that you can do something, you can give us something. Because if we'd won the games previously and done well getting to Man City, it's never going to be it's deciding on the Man City game. You want to try and get that cushion, so when you play that game, whatever happens, you're okay because you're going to beat the rest. So leading into that, obviously, and the way we played, you know what I mean, I was disappointed, but we played well enough to win the game. We should have at least got a draw out of that game because watching Eze, Havertz and Ødegaard, we create the kind of chances that we should have taken. We should have taken them. And again, it shows that Man City, people say, I think City will lose again this season. And I'm saying, well, really, but then you watch it and you think, they do give chances up. And if you're going to be ruthless, you take them. Arsenal probably could win that game. They could have won the game. You know, Haaland had one chance, bam, took it. You know, so I'm a lot better now because now what they've got to do, Ryan, you guys will know, you've done it so many times. They've just got to say, right, we've got to go and really get ruthless with everything because if City beat Burnley, was it tonight or tomorrow? Tonight. If they beat them tonight, then it's in City's hands. So now maybe that might take a bit of pressure. Then they can just go for it. You know, and so now I'm back on the wagon of let's go and get it.
Yeah.
Let's go and get it. But like last week, I was desperate. Yeah, I watch. You know what? I don't like watching it with my youngest son. He's too deep. He's too deep. He's just like everything's when the manager, the players, we've got to get rid of it.
Where does he get that from?
I don't know where he gets that from. I don't know where he gets that from because I sit there and I'm quiet. And then the day after, we have the texts and messages all day about, well, you shouldn't have said this. Yeah, but I said that because I meant that. And then we get back to the positive. But we're both very emotional, as you can imagine. But I felt a lot better after that game. You know, I watched the game, watched the guys.
Yeah.
I felt a lot better after that game because I saw enough in that game for us to beat the teams that we should be beating afterwards, and now it's up to them.
What did Havertz do wrong, Wrighty, from a technical perspective when that ball comes in and he's obviously missing
the header
at the end?
Well, the header's come from there's nothing else he can be doing with that ball where he's got the space to cross it. He can see Havertz, he's in between the defenders. Now, all Havertz has to do is make sure that he just gets the flight of that, you know, because it's coming at a perfect height, you know, and the way he headed it, for him to still head it, you've got to come in. And so when it's coming in, you make sure you get yourself in a position where, you know, right, I go now and then bam, over there. You know, what he done was he came in and he went bam. You know, he didn't get enough on it where he's watching it. Like you watch the top line. You know, I mentioned Shearer, you mentioned someone, Teddy Sheringham, Shearer. That is a goal. Harry Kane, that is a goal. Because they're getting their bodies into a position where when they attack that, there's no way you're going to save because the pace on it and the header you're going to put on it. So I don't think that he got himself in a position where he can come and attack it. He just went like that, you know.
So, his header,
yeah.
And why is that? Because he's not a natural finisher.
He's not like a big, powerful...
Yeah, because like that's the kind of chance.
But what a chance it was.
It was a fantastic chance to the point where it come over. I'm thinking there's only one outcome, and so when he missed it, you think, well, that's again. Again, we have to look at the fact that, you know, our striker, what we've bought to try and take those chances, is not even on the pitch, right? So that says enough about that because maybe if he was on the pitch as a natural striker, he would realise, right, I've got to make sure this ball's coming in here. He might have done it. But Kai, you know, just coming back in, you know what I mean? We know he's not an out-and-out striker. And then now you can look at it and you look at it and then you start analysing it like that because if that was an out-and-out striker, I think he scores that. And I think he scores the one where he goes through and the goalie saves it. Yeah. Because, again, he's coming in from on that left side on his strong foot. You can't...
There is some breaking news just into us, actually, and it comes from West Ham because Baroness Karen Brady, vice-chair of West Ham United, has today announced her decision to step down from her role at the club. All right, now, reflecting on her tenure, we've got a quote here from Baroness Brady. She says, "It has been a privilege to work alongside the board, management, players, staff and supporters at West Ham United. Together, we have achieved remarkable milestones, but the highlight for me will always be lifting the UEFA Europa Conference League trophy, a moment that will stay with me forever. I am deeply grateful for their relationships, challenges and opportunities that have shaped my time at the club." She's been there for 16 years, actually. She led the negotiations to secure the club's move to the London Stadium, overseeing a process that delivered the transition to a 62.5 capacity stadium. We've also got a quote here from Joint Chair David Sullivan. And Sullivan says Karen has been an exceptional leader and key figure in the club's development over the years. We wish her every vice chair of West Ham United has announced that she will step down from her role at the club. The Suncave, Liam Rosenior, seemingly under immense pressure. Where does this leave him?
Well, I think it's touch and go whether he remains as the Chelsea head coach. I thought it was interesting after the game last night that he seemed to suggest that he would be picking the team for the FA Cup semi-final against Leeds on Sunday, because he made a point of saying, I'm going to make sure I pick players who are going to represent the club in the proper way. But I'm pretty sure this morning at Chelsea's training ground, the senior executives there will be discussing what happened last night and what they need to do next. Because make no mistake, this is just about as bad as it gets for Chelsea. I know Liam Rosenior said last night that he was shocked by the performance and it was unacceptable, but my own personal feeling is that performances have been unacceptable for quite a long time. If you go back to the start of February, I think Chelsea have won 2 league games in almost 3 months. And this is a business end of the season. This is the time when they should have been pushing, well, in normal circumstances, they would be pushing to win the title. But they should at least have been pushing to finish second, third, fourth. As it is, I think before the next round of games, there's a good chance they could be in the bottom half of the table. And people are talking about them getting into Europe. For what it's worth, I think you could make a case that it'd be quite embarrassing for them to be playing in the Europa Conference League. No disrespect to that competition. They played in it last season and they won it. But the way the club is set up and the finances at the club mean that they have to be in the Champions League. And the club have always, well, they haven't said it, but the sort of information coming out of the club has been that even if we don't make the Champions League, we are sticking with Liam Rosenior.
Liverpool have got something of a goalkeeper crisis at the moment, haven't they? What's the latest injury news on that front?
Yeah, well, it's not good, I'm afraid, because we've been at training today, and amongst the goalkeepers, while Freddie Woodman was out there wasn't any sign of Mamadashvili, there wasn't any sign of Alisson either. Now, we didn't really expect to see Mamadashvili out there after he'd had stitches on a knee wound in that Merseyside derby, which forced him off, and obviously we saw him replaced by Freddie Woodman. Woodman making his Premier League debut for the football club, but at the same time, of course, we maybe thought that Alisson might be joining in with the keepers, but he's certainly not today. Now, he hasn't figured since the 4-0 victory over Galatasaray. It's 6 games that he's missed now as well. There is hope, I think, or certainly there was last time we spoke to Arne Slot, that maybe Alisson could be back for the Manchester United game. But at the moment, as I say, he's not training with the goalkeepers. So the expectation will be that this weekend, Freddie Woodman will take the starting role in goal against Crystal Palace, as I say, having replaced Mamadashvili when he got injured in the Merseyside derby. And there's further injury worries still for Liverpool as well, because there was no Joe Gomez training. Now, he came on and lasted 22 minutes or so against PSG in the second leg at Anfield, coming on as a second half substitute, but wasn't right for the Merseyside derby. And so, again, the fact that he's not training today would suggest that maybe he won't be ready to come back into things for that game against Crystal Palace. And as obviously expected, Ekitike out for the rest of the season as well. The likes of Bradley, Leone and Endo still not training either. So a few injury concerns for Arne Slot still ahead of that game against Crystal Palace. But certainly the mood at Liverpool is a lot more buoyant than it was a month or so ago.
This is where belief meets reality. And according to Ian Wright and Thierry Henry, the truth is clear. Arsenal FC still have what it takes to win it all. After weeks of pressure, mixed results, and intense debate, many people have started to question Arsenal's title chances. But Wright and Henry see something different, something deeper than just results. They see growth. They see belief. They see a team that is closer than ever. In this video, we break down exactly why these two Arsenal legends are backing the team, and whether that belief is justified. Let's start with the biggest factor, mentality. Because at this stage of the season, it's no longer just about tactics or talent. It's about how you respond when things get difficult. Arsenal have had moments where things didn't go their way. Tough losses, missed chances, pressure from rivals, but the key question is always the same. How do you react? Wright and Henry believe Arsenal now have the mentality to bounce back. And when you watch this team, you can see signs of it. They don't collapse easily. They keep pushing. They keep trying to play their football even under pressure. That's a huge shift from previous seasons. Now let's talk about quality. Because belief alone is not enough. You need the ability to back it up. And Arsenal have shown throughout the season that they can control games, create chances, and dominate possession against top teams. There have been matches where they've looked unstoppable. Quick passing, smart movement, confidence in possession. When everything clicks, Arsenal look like a team capable of beating anyone. But here's the challenge: consistency. Because winning the Premier League is not about having great moments, it's about maintaining a high level week after week. And this is where the debate really starts. Wright and Henry believe Arsenal have improved enough to handle that challenge. They believe this team has learned from past mistakes and is now ready to take that final step.